topics, trending topics. Um, it's being reported that Jesse Jackson has passed away. We're also going to get to that. Like the video as you guys come in. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21. We're going to also talk a little bit about Nancy Savannah Guthrie's mother still missing. Per the sheriff, the family is in the clear. They are not being looked at as any wrongdoing from the family, which a lot of people, and that's why a lot of people were making different comments. Didn't really care for that, but yeah, we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff today. Just allow me a few minutes to go ahead, do my disclaimer. Y'all know what it is. Y'all been here before, and if you haven't, I always do my disclaimer. That somewhat protects me because we have a right to say what we kind of want, but we're going to get into some different things and hot topics. So thanks for being here, everyone. Appreciate it. Let me go ahead and do my disclaimer. All comments are alleged. Period. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. So I'm going to go ahead and play this and do the rest of the things I have to do back here.
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that she and her husband are getting pulled into the Epstein matter to divert attention from you and that your administration has something to hide. What's your response to that?
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I'm totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know, they're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
Do you think that she should publicly testify?
I've been totally exonerated on Epstein, and it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it, they've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in, yeah.
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that she and her husband are getting pulled into the Epstein matter to divert attention from you and that your administration has something to hide. What's your response to that?
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know, they're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
Do you think that she should publicly testify?
I've been totally exonerated on Epstein, and it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it, they've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in, yeah.
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that...
So we're going to get to the news regarding that. I'm trying to think if I want to cover the Jesse Jackson first or Trump. I think we'll go Trump and then Jesse Jackson. So RIP to Jesse Jackson. He has passed away. And we're going to get more into that. But let's do the hot topics, trending topics of what's going on in the news. And that's the biggest thing, too. In regards to these Epstein files, a lot of people are being mentioned, and a lot of us just want something to happen in regards to justice, in regards to people being accountable for what they did. I know other countries have to be looking at us like, what and how is this person still ahead of, and how is this Congress still ahead of? So we're wanting justice. So we're about to get into this topic and see what's going on. Good morning, everyone. Like the video as you guys come in. Subscribe to the page as you come in. As you comment, yes, like. Today we got to get the likes up. Today we have to get the likes up. So the likes should match the views. Let's go ahead and get into this topic of what's going on in regards to news.
Supreme Court in Virginia. Yeah, so this is probably the worst possible news for Donald Trump's effort to rig the 2026 election to date. Everyone focused on...
Yes, I agree. Throw the whole thing away. Whole thing. And you know what? They feel like they were going to get away with it. For him to say he's exonerated, we see the pictures in regards to these people, in regards to what was going on. We're seeing pictures, we're seeing videos, and a lot of us just want justice and these people to be held accountable. It's sickening. We're seeing it in politics. We see it in the music industry. We see it that actors and actresses go through it. We see it. Hey, weirdos, keep stuff to yourself. Stop being weird and bothering people. Get married. Men, women. It's not just men. It's men and women. Maxwell did whatever she did, assisting, but it's sick. It's sick. Get married and take care of yourself with your wife or your spouse. Why do you have to be sick? Please get the likes up, y'all. Let's get to the news because there's so many things that's going on that they're trying to do, distract, take away from, just shaking the table the best way they can. Like the video. Let's continue.
On Texas and what they did there to try to gain 5 seats. Everyone focused on the response from California, where Democrats did gain 5 seats. But very few people have paid attention to what's been going on in Virginia, where the Democratic legislature said it was also, like California, going to essentially suspend the nonpartisan redistricting process via ballot initiative and allow the legislature to draw a new map that would be a 10-1 map, which would gain Democrats 4 seats. Well, Republicans went to court and they thought they had the upper hand. They filed a lawsuit in Tazewell County, Virginia, which is in the southwestern county. It is a very Republican area of the state. And
that's right, John. Tell them. Hit that like button. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Let's continue.
They got a trial judge there to put a hold on things. Meanwhile, my law firm has been representing the Democratic elected leadership of the state, in the legislature, saying, hey, we should be allowed to go forward. Well, the state Supreme Court dealt a near fatal blow to the Republican gambit by saying that, in fact, the referendum can go forward on April 21st. That the Supreme Court will take this case up in the ordinary course, which will extend past that deadline. And that has sent the Republicans of Virginia into a stone cold panic, because let's be honest, Brian, once the people have voted, if in fact the people vote in favor of this 10-1 map, you can put it in the books in ink and close them. That's going to be the map for 2026.
So this is a case that was a huge victory at Virginia's highest court. Is there a way that Republicans can try to appeal this thing to the U.S. Supreme Court? Oftentimes they'll try and have state cases.
I just know somebody just did not say, I need to show you proof or evidence. Please remove yourself and go on your own show. Thank you. Have a great day. Proof? Are you kidding me? People are okay. Let's continue. Thanks for being here, everyone. Good morning.
Jump into the federal court system because that would be their last recourse.
So, Brian, let me put up on the screen this quote from the former Republican Attorney General of Virginia and Eric Cantor, who's a former congressman from Virginia, both Republicans involved in this. Quote, though we firmly believe this referendum is illegal, the court has allowed it to move forward before final judgment. There will be further legal action on this matter. So, Brian, what do they have in mind? I think it's one of two things. They're either going to file a new lawsuit in Virginia. You know, we saw that game played by Republicans in California. We saw how badly that went out. That's not going to be any hope for them. Or they're going to try to go straight to the U.S. Supreme Court, which we also saw the Republicans in California try, and they lost. And as you know, my law firm was involved in those California cases and are involved here in Virginia. And I'd add one more thing. At the same time this is going on in Virginia, the Republicans in New York have gone to the U.S. Supreme Court after my law kicked their ass there. And so, you know, they're finding the path to the U.S. Supreme Court, but they're not finding any success there.
I should note for everybody who's watching, not only is Mark covering all this stuff in the media, and in fact, I couldn't find coverage of this specific story, which is a massive story, anywhere else but Democracy Docket, which is the news outlet Mark founded, but he's also arguing these cases in court and winning in court. So a small step that everybody right now who's watching can take to support.
Yes, RIP to Jesse Jackson. I already have a few videos queued up for that. RIP to Jesse Jackson. He has done a lot for the African American community. RIP to Jesse Jackson. Yes, I agree. Thanks for saying that. We did cover that in the beginning. And believe it or not, there are going to be pages that's going to make it seem like, oh, and him and and Martin and dot dot dot. They did a lot for the African American community. Believe it or not, there's going to be pages today that is going to say y'all was fooled. Y'all didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, and a lot of us then, the news and the media wasn't like it is now. So most of us have parents that knew what was going on, what was being said. So miss me with the weird stuff. I had to stop watching that page because it's like, okay, your title is already interesting. Your name of your page is already interesting and people aren't paying attention. So know your culture, know what's going on, understand your family history and what that means to you. You know, you can't worry about somebody else's situation. Know your stuff in regards to your family and what you want to teach your children. You know what I mean? So yeah, R.I.P. to Jesse Jackson. Even if they did 150 things, they did something for the community. You know what I mean? There are going to be pages that are going to try and twist it and make it something that it's not. So R.I.P. to Jesse Jackson. My page is different. Like I said, even if you did 160 things, you did something for the black community. So watch what you listen to, good, bad, ugly, or different. I'm not always right, but I teeter on the fact of if people try, that's something better than nobody trying at all. You know, if you try, that's something better than not trying at all. Don't you think some of these people put their lives at risk, their families at risk, the comments and the concerns that their family and that they were getting? So let's continue. Who's never right? I'm very kind, I'm very considerate. So whether you agree with me or not, that's okay. I'm very kind, I'm very considerate. And I try to teeter on the side of being kind. So if being kind is not for you, that's okay. I don't spew hate, I don't spew disrespect. So if you're seeking a show that's you have to believe what they believe 100%, this is not that show. I give everyone a chance to have an opinion. Some people, and see, this is what you have to understand. Some people may see certain articles or many articles that have them thinking a certain way, and that's okay. But over here, you have an open platform. Believe what you believe, see what you see, because we're, as YouTubers, podcasters, bloggers, we don't see everything. So somebody's opinion may go towards a book, a document, a TV show. So people beliefs vary. So it is. Let's continue with the news. We will get to Jesse Jackson, what was going on, and what his health concerns. We will get to it. So, yeah, Donald's trying to say he was exonerated. I kind of wanted to go here first. So, thanks for being here, everyone. Let's continue.
For his work, both in the media and in the court system, is to subscribe to Democracy Docket. That link.
I'm going to play this for you guys, and then we're going to get back to the news. I want you to hear what he's saying.
Yeah. So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that she and her husband are getting pulled into the Epstein matter to divert attention from you and your administration as something to hide. What's your response to that?
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know, they're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
Do you think she should publicly testify?
You know, I've been totally exonerated on Epstein, and it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it, they've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in, yeah.
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today.
See, y'all, I think a lot of people have to realize there's a lot of pictures out there right now. There's a lot of pictures out there. There's a lot of videos out there. You can't tell me X, Y, or Z. And if they've tried to redact in regards to some of his favorite people and himself, that in itself, go look at some of the pictures. Go look at some of the videos. If you can't tell me that's not concerning. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Is right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. Again, a very tiny step that we can all take to show some support for the democracy saving work that Mark and his team are doing right now. So Mark, now that we're at this point in the process, what is the next step in Virginia?
Well, let me just start with the first thing, which is that this thing has to pass in Virginia.
Right.
And, you know, we have a vote coming up in the Commonwealth of Virginia on April 21st. And let me go ahead and put on the screen the question that Virginians will be asked to vote on. Should the Constitution of Virginia be amended to allow the General Assembly to temporarily adopt new congressional districts to restore fairness in the upcoming elections while ensuring Virginia's standard redistricting process resumes for all future redistricting after the 2030 census? So, I wanted to start here, Brian, because, we say it's a done deal, and it really is for court purposes, but we need everyone in Virginia who's watching this to turn out and vote. And we need those of you who are not in Virginia to contact people you know in Virginia and make sure they know that on April 21st, they have to go vote, and they need to vote yes on this question. And Brian, you did amazing work in California in bringing attention to this and helping raise money for it. And I hope you and I maybe can do the same here in Virginia.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm looking forward to it. And look, I should also note, Virginia, what a gift this was, because Republicans wanted against.
Yeah, the pictures in the video were so concerning. The girls sitting in the lap, the girls dancing, him pulling them closer. Think about who he's married to, that whole situation, what Epstein was involved in, what he ordered several days before, moving money around. This was so concerning. The connections of connections of connections, so concerning. So concerning. And I don't know, and that's the one thing. Whenever he wants you to believe something, he'll keep saying it. He's stating he was exonerated, and then he'll say it again. I wasn't a part of it. He said he was saying he was exonerated. And if he wants to believe that, that's fine. His name was in there so many times, it grew. This many times, the now is how many times? I think I just saw the amount of what was there. And this is the biggest thing. Real talk, you guys. This should have been released when Epstein went to jail. Period. Epstein, Maxwell shouldn't have been the only ones that went to jail. Period. And now they're saying, is that the real Maxwell in jail? She's totally different. From when she sat down with them, 6, 7, 8 months ago, when she sat down with them, to the face of that person now, you know what I mean? And then there's alleged, and I think that's a distraction too. Now all of a sudden they're showing pictures of somebody that looks like him. Now they're showing pictures of somebody that doesn't look like her, but it's like, okay, if that's not her, where's she at? And did it switch up because she changed where she was at? Remember, she was on lockdown at a different facility. She wasn't going nowhere. Now the person somewhat looks different. They look different to me too. The nose looked different. Of course, aging has something to do with it. But what she looked like when she sat down with them, telling them XYZ, she looks totally different from what she looks like now. Real talk. Yeah, it is what it is. Like the video as you come in.
Every protest from the left wanted to engage in this process where they could scientifically engineer themselves a permanent majority in the House, and Democrats told them, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, and they decided to go on anyway because Trump said that he felt entitled to 5 seats in Texas. And now look at the position that they're in, where there are pretty much guaranteed 5 seats in California as a way to neuter what happened in Texas. And now, given what we saw in Texas's Senate District 9, where the Democrat won by a 30-point swing from 2024, that gerrymander may very well turn into a dummy mander. So Texas's 5 seats that Trump felt.
It's something how people say Trump derangement syndrome. When people are speaking the truth, when people are giving their opinion, when people are seeing and have receipts, when people are seeing pictures, when people are seeing videos. It's interesting that he has that out there because Pam Bondi says the same thing. She acts similar to him. Don't look over here, look over here. Don't say that, say this. Don't ask me that question because I'm not going to answer it. Pam Bondi and him are very similar. She's been taught to not answer questions. Similar with him. He'll distract away from or answer a part of it, but then say, I'm cleared. These people don't have derangement syndrome. They're telling what we're seeing, what we're hearing, and what's in the emails. What's in the pictures. We were already concerned about how he was with his daughter back in the day. What? And then him making a comment to grab, and then him insulting an ex-president and making people bow down. Ain't nobody bowing down to nobody. It's weird to me. And if you don't fall into line with the cult like, you know, them trying to do this, them trying to do that. Ain't nobody falling for that. Be right, be kind, be considerate, but don't be trying to play in people's faces. And that's what they're doing. They're playing in people's faces. I'm not saying he's an actual cult, but cult like. The foolery of it all. There's concerns in regards to the politicians. There are concerns in regards to musicians. There's concerns in regards to actors and actresses. And a lot of them, Cat Williams told us best. They're all going to get exposed, and it's happening, and they don't like it. And something needs to happen. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Can't believe this is happening. It's in people's faces, and people are saying, don't look over there. Well, that was then. This is now. What? The victim should get justice. They're playing in the victim's faces. You wouldn't want that happening to your mother, your daughter, your sister, your aunt, none of that. So why would you want it happening to people? People are crazy. Who's I know you're not saying I'm delusional. I'm the one page that speaks the truth. Real talk. Go on your page if you don't like what's being said. You can fall for that foolery. Ain't nobody falling for that. Cat right. People are being exposed. And he can't even expose even more of the industry. Hollywood. Some of your favorites are pushing their children in the industry. Some of your faves are pushing the children in the industry. And they're the same. Look over here. Oh, I did the tape. That's not going to be as bad as what my husband is saying. Weird stuff. Weird. People, we see what you're doing, and it's not right. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Entitled to. So now we might be in a position where we can net more seats than before Trump even sparked off this whole process. But Mark, as we look toward the rest of the country, can you give some...
You said thank you, host. Thank you. I appreciate all the kind comments. My page is a little different. I see the foolery, and I'm gonna call it out. Be kind, be respectful, run the country the right way. How did he even get in there? He shouldn't have been able to get in there. But then we were listening to Kamala Harris, and we were like, what? She can't even answer general questions. There's everyday people that can speak better than Kamala Harris. And then we were like, what did Kamala do in the time she was there? And bless Joe. Joe tried. Joe had health issues. Joe had health issues. But man, when what happened to that Capitol, that was crazy work. And the people a part of that crazy work. The Capitol, and those people were jailed, then released. What are we even talking about? There's so much going on. So much going on. So much going on. Yeah, we're definitely going to cover Jesse Jackson. I have some stuff queued up. Yeah, so much going on. And then they try and tell you, don't look over there, look over here. I've changed from that. What? You're still the sick person. Then we talk about Turning Point, and Turning Point having Kid Rock. Look at some of his thoughts, and look at what he said about the Olsen twins. And then they're investigating Bad Bunny. Look at some of his lyrics. And then he dated Kendall. What? There's so much going on. Nobody, I don't know anybody that has Trump's derangement syndrome. People are speaking what they're speaking. They see what they see, and they're not going to be lied to.
Insight here, aside from Virginia, where there might still be change.
Be kind in the comments. Be kind in the comments. Fair use reaction clip. Be kind in the comments. Ain't nobody complaining. We're telling what we need to tell people to wake up. Wake up. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
In other states as we head toward midterms.
Yeah, so look, I think you did an excellent job of California and Texas. And the way I look at those two, everyone, is I think that probably nets Democrats one seat. That may be conservative, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think, at least, I don't think I think all 5 seats in California will be Democratic. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that 4 of the 5 in Texas are Republican. So that nets Democrats one. You then have the Republicans redistrict and gerrymandered in North Carolina, Ohio, and Missouri. But honestly, of those, at most they're going to wind up netting 2. And I think right now, I would say they wind up only netting 1, which is the seat John Davis probably survives in North Carolina, and I think all the Democrats survive in Ohio. So that puts us back at even. Then you go to Utah, where Republicans got their asses kicked. Let's be honest. Like, Republicans tried to violate the law, tried to violate their state constitution. They split up Salt Lake City. The courts there said they couldn't do that. They're now also trying to run a federal court case quickly to go to the U.S. Supreme Court, but I don't think that's going to work for 2026 either. So that's a Democratic seat. So now you're back with Democrats yielding one plus one. Then you've got New York, which I mentioned, the case that my law firm's involved in, where the court is ordered a redraw of Staten Island, which is a Republican district. So that would flip a seat there because they discriminated against minority voting rights in violation of state law in New York. So that's Democrats +2. Then you've got Virginia +4. So that's Democrats +6. So what that leaves, Brian, then is Florida, right? Yeah. And what does Ron DeSantis do in Florida? And here he's got a few considerations that I think we have to, noodle through. The first is, this is already a state that he gerrymandered really aggressively, so there's not a lot of running room here without running afoul of both the state constitution's prohibition against partisan gerrymandering, but also, Brian, even if you set that aside, he's got to worry also about what happens if he spreads these Republican seats too thin. So does he try to gain 3? Does he try to gain 4? He's certainly not going to gain 6, right? So to your point, I think at the end of this day, Donald Trump opened up a can of worms that is now perhaps going to turn into the biggest political disaster of his entire administration. You could argue that the Epstein files is like the biggest message disaster and like the biggest problem for him that he hasn't been able to overcome. But if you just look at the outcome of the 2026 elections, the biggest political disaster may wind up having been his effort to try to stretch his majority by going to Texas. And now watch as Democrats have kicked his ass. And I am proud that my law firm has been involved in that in the California case, in the Virginia case, in the New York case. We also filed a lawsuit against the state of Florida already to try to prevent that state there. And also we've got litigation going on in Missouri. So there's a shot that this will get better than I just described, but I don't think it'll get much worse.
All right. Well, and again, I do have to note that, to your exact point, this would not have happened without the work that you and your team are doing. So I know that I speak on behalf of myself and folks who are watching this right now, and thanking you for the work that you all are doing on these cases. Mark, there is still one giant variable in all of this, and that is the Supreme Court dropping a decision on the Calais case, which is Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. That's what mandates these black opportunity districts or brown opportunity districts, these minority.
Yes, I love me some Brian Coleman. I love me some Law on Crimes. There are some great men that's speaking the truth, that's telling us what's really going on in front of us, in the news, and behind the scenes. I love me some Brian. I love me some Brian Coleman. Sorry.
Majority districts. And those are centered primarily in these Republican states, like Louisiana and Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, Texas. And we've seen that be kind of the bulwark against Republicans redrawing these maps so that they're completely red. We don't know when the Supreme Court is going to do this. You have actually announced on social media a few decision days for the Supreme Court. Do you have any indication as to when this might happen, or what the drop dead date might be in terms of when it no longer applies or could apply to the 2026 midterms?
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. I think there's going to be a commercial. Like the video as you guys come in. Please don't forget to hit subscribe. There's about 160 in the building. Let's continue.
That's an excellent point. The Supreme Court has announced that they're going to issue new opinions on February 20th, 24th, and 25th. And so, look, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, the people who are focused on the tariff cases say which one of them will be the tariff cases. The people who are focused on the birthright citizenship cases say which one will be the birthright citizenship date. And of course, for me, I'm very interested in those, but I'm particularly interested in the Calais case, as well as another case I argued in the U.S. Supreme Court in December, the so-called National Republican Senatorial Campaign Committee case that I opposed. So there's a lot of cases that it could be, and we don't know whether any of those cases will be decided in February or will wait until later in the term. Historically, the most significant cases get decided in June or even early July, and there's no question Calais is one of the most significant cases. On the other hand, there's no question that those people on the Supreme Court, the justices, know that every day that goes by, it becomes harder for Calais to impact the 2026 elections. And there's no one bright line date where kind of that happens. It's a rolling schedule. There are some states that have early primaries, and for those states, frankly, it's already too late, right? I mean, if you have a spring primary, it's too late to redraw your maps. On the other hand, some states have very late primaries. You have states that have primaries over the summer, going as late as August, and for those states, they may say it's not too late. So every day that goes by, some more states fall off the board. And the question is whether the Supreme Court is going to try to rush this decision to get as many of those as possible, or whether they're holding it to the end and say, you know what, we're just not going to affect anything for 2026, and all of this will become operative for 2028. The good news is that as days go by, it seems less likely that they are rushing it, right? We talked a lot in early January that they might actually try to front run this case as one of the first decisions of the term, and that didn't happen. So we'll wait and see. I don't know for sure, but I can promise the Republicans this. If that case comes out and it comes out against democracy, as many of us fear, and you think you're going to pass new maps and you're going to get a free ride, you've got another thing coming to you. The fact is, my law firm and I have 85 voting and election cases right now pending in 40 states, and that is a lot. That is historically the most that my law firm has ever had. But we always have room for more when it comes to fighting the Republican vote suppressors and election deniers. So if you think, Republicans, you're going to try to sneak one by, you got another thing coming.
And that right there is why you are the biggest fighter for democracy on the left. So again, a small step that everybody who's watching can take to support the work that Mark and his team are doing in the courts and in the media space. Please sign up for Democracy Docket. That link is right here on.
Mark and his team is no joke. Like the video. Like the video as you guys come in. Let's get into more about what's happening. Another Brian video talking about these Epstein files. We're going to get into that, and we're going to get into some other things. Like the video as y'all come in.
This is not the Epstein files. This is something completely different, really, that no one is asking for. You have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of files. They opted not to have those, even though they're already in their possession, and are instead saying we're going to go through this lengthy process that may or may not work out, where we're going to get some testimony that we can then choose what to release from within that testimony if a judge even opts to grant it. So for those Trump supporters, and honestly, left, right, and center, people who want this information, are they being conned by virtue of what Trump and Bondi are offering them right now?
Well, no, because I don't think anybody's buying it. I mean, I think you just did a great job debunking it. The only thing I would add is that the grand jury files relate only to the prosecution of Epstein himself for what he did, and of the Maxwell for what she did, but it doesn't include the whole universe of other people and criminal organizations and business organizations that we're interested in.
But isn't that the whole point? Isn't that what we're looking for here?
It's a complete distraction. It's a red herring. It's don't look over here, look over there kind of thing. And even for that tiny subset of the materials we might be interested in, and they're pretty much peripheral, but even within those, Rule 6E will provide that much of it will have to be redacted to protect victims and other people. So look, all of that is just a decoy. They've got the materials within their possession, and they can release everything, just redacting the information that would be identifying information for the victims, which is the only thing that should be redacted. And that's what the Democrats have been asking for. All we're saying to Donald Trump is be true to what you've been asking for years. Release the information in the possession of the government.
And so can you talk about what efforts, knowing full well that all he wants to put forward is this decoy, what can Democrats do, what are Democrats doing right now to compel this information? And I ask this because we've seen multiple efforts where Democrats have sought votes in the House, both in the Rules Committee, on the House floor, even the Senate floor, to compel the release of these files. And 2 times in the Rules Committee, Republicans voted it down. 2 times in the House, Republicans voted it down. 1 time in the Senate, at the hands of Ruben Gallego, Republicans voted it down. And so what are our options here moving forward?
Well, we've also, in the Judiciary Committee, the Democrats have demanded a full bipartisan hearing where we subpoena all of this information, and we subpoena witness testimony from Attorney General Bondi, from FBI Director Kash Patel, from the Deputy Director Dan Bongino. So they come forward, and everybody tells us everything they know about this whole nightmarish scenario. So that's one thing. We can continue to press that. Now, Chairman Jordan's answer was, well, yes, we're going to have her in to talk about everything,
right,
implying, therefore, we can ask about those questions. All right, he said before the end of the year, and then when we were saying this is ridiculous, we're not waiting till December, people started saying September we could do. So who knows? We'll keep pressing on that. But here's the other thing. I got to salute my counterpart over in the Senate, who's the ranking Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Durbin, who has discovered, apparently from a whistleblower, I'm not quite sure how, but that you remember they had actually conscripted 1,000 FBI agents to be working around the clock, 24 hours going through more than 100,000 of these Epstein documents in the files, and apparently told them to flag any mentions or appearances or pictures of Donald Trump, anything that appears there of Donald Trump. They're supposed to flag it. Well, what were they supposed to do after they flag it? And we also heard separately, this was a couple weeks ago, that the FBI Director Kash Patel would detector tests against the FBI agents. And I wonder whether these two things are related to each other. In other words, somebody finds something relating to Donald Trump, they turn it over. Are they then asked, are you loyal to Donald Trump? Will you do what we ask you to do? Are you going to turn this over to anybody else? And this might be one of the most massive cover-ups in the history of the United States before our very eyes. Because Donald Trump is obviously freaked out about some stuff that's in there.
Right.
And then the idea that you create this army within the FBI to scrape through everything just looking for mentions of Donald Trump is quite unusual and fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, what does it say? Look, I'm no political genius here, but what does it say when you have to conscript 1,000 people to scrub through these documents, all who answer to Donald Trump?
Okay, so let's listen. More people are coming in. People hadn't heard what he had said. I'll play it for you.
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that she and her husband are getting pulled into the Epstein matter to divert attention from you and that your administration has something to hide. What's your response?
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know, they're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
Do you think that she should publicly testify?
I've been totally exonerated on Epstein, and it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it. They've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in, yeah.
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that she and her husband are getting pulled into the Epstein matter to divert attention from you and that your administration has something to hide. What's your response?
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know, they're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
Do you think that she should publicly testify?
I've been totally exonerated on Epstein, and it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it. They've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in, yeah.
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that
To search for Donald Trump's name within these documents.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Please hit the subscribe button. Continue to get the likes up, you guys. If you go back, listen to what Kash Patel had to say. Look at how Pam Bondi is responding. Look at what he's saying. They're acting like it's not happening. And remember how we talked about 2 weeks ago when he was like he wants it all to go away and he wants people to focus on other stuff? And that's the reason why he did so many things to make it look like, look over here, I did all these other good things. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Craziness. Playing in people's faces. Like the videos, y'all come in. Let's continue fair use reaction clip.
It probably doesn't send the message that you think it's sending. It's worth asking too here. A lot of the pushback to all of this stuff is, and Trump has said this too in so many ways, granted.
And that is the crazy part of it. People are still going to support the foolery. That's the crazy part of it. That's the crazy part of it. So it makes you wonder, are you a part of that weird stuff too? Do you co-sign for that weird stuff too? This should have been released. I'm glad it's released. But this should have been released when he went to jail. Some of those people in Congress should not even be sitting there. They're getting older. They're not paying attention. It's like they're going to collect that paycheck and not make things better for people, which is crazy. So crazy. Mentioned so many times. So many times. This number came out. Then this number came out. Then this number came out. The celebrities are panicking as well. The celebrities are panicking as well. Every day they're wondering if somebody's going to mention a celebrity. Celebrities are panicking. They're worried about their brands. They're worried about if people are going to still mess with them and fool with them. Celebrities are panicking. Let's continue. Pam Bondi last week was a hot mess. Not wanting to answer the question, being rude, shading people, disrespecting people. Last week was a mess.
He's kind of muddled his own message because he's also claiming that all of this is a hoax written by Biden, Comey, and Brennan and Obama. So kind of his message is whatever errant synapse fires in his brain at any given moment in time. But if there was a mention of Donald Trump in these files, why the Biden administration wouldn't have released it previously? So I'm curious what your response is on that, because it's a talking point that it's a pretty unconvincing talking point because Trump is the president right now. He ran on this, but I'm still curious what your thought is on this.
In other words,
he ran on this saying he was going to release it. He probably, of course, didn't know how much Epstein mentioned all these people. How you going to know? He probably forgot about the emails and the communication. He probably forgot about it. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Well, let's start with this. Up until Donald Trump, everybody tried to respect the independence and the integrity of the Department of Justice. Up until Donald Trump, nobody was telling the Department of Justice what to do. And the Department of Justice under Biden brought the prosecution against Maxwell. So obviously Biden wasn't trying to suppress anything. The GOP stories today make no sense. They're totally conflicting. They're saying on the one hand, Biden and Obama made all of this stuff up about Donald Trump, but then they never released it. Why did they make it up if they never released it? Right? And then they say to us after Donald Trump campaigns on this that there's all this stuff in there that he knows about, and he should know, considering he was Epstein's best friend for more than a decade, that it all should be released. After they're campaigning on it, we say, fine, let's go ahead and release it. You seem to know there's all this stuff in there. And then all they say, no, why didn't you release it? I mean, it makes no sense what they're saying. They're just pointing fingers in 100 different directions. The bottom line is, here's what we do know. Epstein was a convicted sex offender. There was a 60-count federal indictment waiting for him. And then Donald Trump's later labor secretary, Alex Acosta, who was then the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida, reduced that 60-count federal indictment on conspiracy, sex trafficking, prostitution, pimping, all of this stuff, reduced it to one count of solicitation. That was the sweetest sweetheart deal, perhaps, in the history of federal criminal prosecution. He gets this tiny, gentle, whatever you want to say, slap on the wrist, a massage on the wrist, where he spends half of the day free, half of the day spending the night in a slumber party at the jailhouse, okay? And then he also gets a get-out-of-jail-free card for 4 of his unnamed associates who were named and theoretically would have been either indicted or unindicted co-conspirators. Somebody put the fix in for the guy. We want to get to the bottom of that. Then later, a federal prosecution starts over again. That's when he's in jail, and that's when he takes his own life. And at that point, a lot of people...
Allegedly, that sweetheart deal, him being able to come and go at times, that's crazy work too. Where else they do that at? Many people know some people that's in jail. You don't get that kind of sweetheart deal where you can come and go and still run your business, and then you have to check in at a certain time. Are you kidding me? This whole thing is sickening and weird. Like the videos y'all come in. Let's continue. Weird.
We're asking questions about whether this was truly suicide or not, including Donald Trump.
Attorney
General William Barr, Trump's Attorney General, who goes...
Thank you for the gifted. I appreciate my first gifted. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Stanley, thank you for the first gifted. Thank you, Stanley. I appreciate you. Let's continue. A lot of this stuff, even Maxwell sitting with them, and then she's moved from one jail to another jail, and now we're wondering if that's even her. The pictures do look different, and it could be her face may have changed from stress, but I don't know. The nose looks different. So you can take your own comments, your own opinion. A lot is going on, and there's a lot happening behind the scenes, and there's a lot of distractions. Don't look over here, look over here. There's a lot of that, and it's concerning. Thank you for the gifted again. I appreciate you. There's a lot going on, y'all. Yesterday, we covered the Nancy stuff, praying for Nancy for a safe return. We will cover the Jesse Jackson, but I try and bring in the politics, even though I have to, just to update y'all. You know what I mean? So thanks for the gifted. Thanks for listening. Let's continue fair use reaction clip.
over and says this is a perfect storm of mistakes and mishaps, but he declares that it was a suicide, even though there was, the momentary lapse in the videotape, which turns out not to have been one.
Be kind now. He's trying to send me gifted, saying that's how it started with the gifts. That man is trying to bless me. What's wrong with you? A blessing is a blessing. I'll take it. I'm not saying, okay, we're not going to start the show until I get 100 super chats, super stickers. So many. That person's trying to distract me. Thank you for the gifted. I appreciate you.
Minute, but I think 3.5 minutes. It's since been discovered there were 2 people who were assigned to watch his cell who disappeared. So who knows? I mean, at this point, we're in like the fog of their conspiracy theory and a very strange sequence of events indeed. So Maxwell gets prosecuted. She's sentenced to 20 years, and then
Thanks again. I appreciate you. Thank you, Stanley. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Continue to get the likes up, y'all.
Third co-conspirator in that particular case also takes his own life. This is the French guy who takes his life. All right. Then Trump runs around the country saying, we've got to release the complete...
Steady blessing me. Let me know in the comments. Did y'all see the pictures in regards to whether that's him or not? And then there was a person that did a deeper dive in regards to all that happened the week before. Having a cellmate, not having a cellmate. It's all interesting. The video clip, how many minutes missing? Is it less than a minute or a minute missing? People stating alleged. Stanley, steady blessing me. Thank you, Stanley. People stating that someone alleged wheeled him out. So there's so much going on. Showing the autopsy. If there's possible neck concerns, go look that up. I want to say it was about 3 days ago. There was a young lady that did a deep dive in regards to his week of. The week of money being moved. There's a lot that's going on. And then all of a sudden, are you guys surprised? All of a sudden, there are pictures allegedly that look like him. Walking security, somebody that looks like him. Why weren't we seeing that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but we're seeing it now? There's a lot of distractions to push the attention over here. Don't focus on here. Okay, and that's the other thing too. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, we didn't have this AI stuff. So sometimes we don't realize or notice it's AI. You could see some of the people that's passed. They look like they're actually standing next to someone. So sometimes it's kind of hard. With YouTubers, podcasters, we have to be very careful of real, fake, AI. And sometimes if I think it's AI, I'll say I think it's AI. Sometimes I'll post stuff. That's total. I don't know if they're talking to somebody else or if they're talking to me. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Sometimes we have to be careful posting stuff if it's AI. I had saw something and I had told someone, I was like, oh my goodness, thank goodness I didn't wake up and say, oh my goodness, ... let me post this. And thank goodness I didn't. So we got to be very cautious about AI, not AI. But this Epstein stuff, these are emails from years ago. These are pictures and videos from years ago. That stuff's not AI. So people act like they want to cover their eyes and not see. That man in the kitchen chasing those little girls is sad and sick. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Epstein file. J.D. Vance says that. Pam Bondi says that. Kash Patel says that. In fact, it's curious that all of the people who were talking about it suddenly get put into key positions in the Department of Justice and the administration, and now they do perform a complete U-turn, and they want to sweep the entire thing under the rug.
Money and wash your car as much as you want with free.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, you guys. We're trying to hit 50K. We should have already met that quota. We should have already met that quota. Like the video. There goes Stanley again, blessing me. Thank you, Stanley. Thank you, Stanley. Appreciate you. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Side. what is the point of the sweetest of sweetheart deals for Jeffrey Epstein when normally these deals are given so that prosecutors can work their way up the ladder so that they can get as close to the big fish as they can? Epstein was the big fish in this scenario. And so what do you get by isn't the whole point to try to get people like him? And so what benefit do you derive as a prosecutor from Alex Acosta's perspective by...
Wait a minute. I am going to meet the quota. Are you kidding me? My page 12 or 13 months ago was 3 to 4,000. Now we're almost at 50K. What does your page have? I am going to meet that quota. People are more so worried about getting the information, and I allow it. I could stop the show and say, I'll start the show in 10 minutes. Get me up to 3,000 today. I could stop the show and say, hey, get me up to 2K today. I've had a show, excuse me, I know who I am. You can't shade me. I'm too smart for that. I've had a show where I had 1,500 subscribing one day. Real talk. I'm not that type of show. I don't try and do clickbait. We try and debunk things over here. I am who I am and people like it. So you don't care for it, click off, go on your show. Thanks for being here, everyone else. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Giving him such a good deal when he's the person that all the ire should be aimed at.
Well, it suggests the possibility that there was, in fact, a bigger fish involved who wanted to put the whole thing to bed as quickly as possible. Because if there were other people that Epstein could be pointing the finger at and looping in as part of turning state's evidence in order to get a better deal for himself, those people would have every interest in keeping Epstein on their good side, right? And so, I mean, what's odd about this is that, you know, like many criminals, Donald Trump kept returning to the scene of this crime. So many of the key actors in this event were put into his administration. So many of the lawyers involved, like Alan Dershowitz, who helped broker the sweetheart deal, later became a lawyer for Donald Trump.
Thank you for subscribing. We cover a lot. I don't always have to be first. I don't try to be first. I cover what I can cover because I have a life outside of YouTube. Thanks for subbing. I appreciate you.
And then Trump campaigned on it.
CJ333.
Other people, his own anxieties and insecurities. So if he was nervous about what Epstein might say, then he would say, "Oh, well, the Democrats are really nervous about Epstein, and we're going to blow the cover on this when we get in."
Right. I got to ask this because I think we're starting to recognize that it's beyond clear Trump doesn't want these files released, that he's doing whatever he can to make sure that we're not looking at this stuff, offering up whatever decoys he can find, sending us, over to the grand jury testimony while he secretes, 95% of the files that already do exist, that already are at Pam Bondi's disposal. Will we ever gain full access to the Epstein files, or will it always be that Pam Bondi and by association, by extension, Donald Trump will be the final arbiters of exactly what information comes out? Like, are those two people are really the only people that have the full range of all of the files that exist? And
thank you for the gifted. Thank you for the gifted. I don't have my glasses on. CLAR. Thank you for the gifted. Thank you. Thank you. CLAROKC. Thank you for the gifted. I don't have my glasses on. I think I put them in my purse. Thank you. Thank you for the gifted.
So even if the discharge petition come August or September, when it finally ripens and the House can vote on this thing and it passes, will Pam Bondi ultimately have the final say into what information exactly comes out, or is there a way to circumvent her as somebody who could kind of meddle in what comes out so that we can get the full range of the files?
The wheel is still in spin, Brian. We don't know the answer to your question. But if you look at the Democratic resolution, or the resolution Democrats support, the bipartisan resolution, which has been put in by Massey and by Khanna, there's a paragraph in there which says we want a complete accounting also of any of the destruction or altering or mutilation or effacement or impairment of different documents. In other words, we want to see all the documents, and if any of the documents have been altered or changed or removed in any way, we want a record of that too.
But on that point, I mean, the cop on that beat is Pam Bondi and by extension Donald Trump, who may very well be implicated in this, and so he has every interest in, if there is some alteration, if there is some destruction of documents, he's not going to say anything because he's the person that destruction would presumably benefit. And so who's there to be all of these people are in the pocket of Donald Trump, and so who's the cop on that beat?
Well, if you look at the history of corruption scandals in the nation's capital, there are always people who are junior people, who are interns, who...
Thank you for the gifted. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the gifted. I appreciate you.
Who are staff associates who are
Yeah.
basically invisible and considered menial by the key actors, but they oftentimes come forward and tell what they know. But I'm with you. I mean, if there's a full-blown effort to cover up, and certainly mobilizing an army of 1,000 FBI agents to go and find anything mentioning Donald Trump's name and then come and bring it to us, and at the same time we hear that Kash Patel is administering lie detector tests against people in order to determine who's trustworthy and who's not, we have every reason to be afraid that there will be a cover-up. But I just have to believe that there's so much information that has come from Florida, that's come from New York, that's come from other sources, that's come from journalists, that some people are going to be able to check them if their plan is just to generate the evidence.
Right, and presumably, if they had intended on altering some information, doctoring some information, they would have already put it out there. So there's something that must be blocking them from doing this, because I think they probably rightly recognize that if they do try to mess with things and put it out there, then it becomes an even more obvious cover-up. It becomes an even bigger scandal than what it likely already is. And so they're probably just trying to do that calculation now with, like, can we get away with this? How much could we get away with? Is it going to be an even bigger scandal, shine an even hotter spotlight on us if we even try it?
Yeah, because the cover-up imports a whole new set of charges of obstruction of justice and conspiracy, and that takes it to a completely different level.
I'm ready for these people to be removed. If they're in the files, they should be removed out of their positions if they have positions. If they're in the files and they're an actor, it should affect their brand deals. If they're in the files and there's wrongdoing, we want justice. We want these people to be exposed and removed from what they're in, because they're trying to distract. Oh, this is who I am now. But last night I saw another video of somebody talking about Candace. And I'm wondering, this is the other thing. When did Epstein go to jail and when did Turning Point start? I think I looked it up over the weekend. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And they try and prey on young adults, college students, modeling, actresses, actors. So concerning. I love you, host. Thank you. So concerning. Protect your children. If you go into a certain area, certain position, certain things, make sure the girlfriends stay together, the guy friends stay together. Make sure you teach your children. If there's a concern, record it. Call the police. There's so much going on. And people back in the day thought this person, this producer, this musician, this actor, this politician, they would never do this to me. This would never happen. But you better believe there's things that's happened that people haven't even told us. These files have said a lot about these weirdos and what they were a part of. And they let it continue because they were a part of it. Weirdos. They should be jailed. Weirdos. And then I will say, yesterday, we talked about Michael Jordan. I think there was something going on where there was something in the kid's shirt. And I think they're saying he was trying to remove the ice from the kid's shirt. So we did address that. And we did notice that the kid's shirt was wet. But I think the father or the mother should have been trying to remove that ice from that kid's shirt. You know what I'm saying? I did do a short video on that. There was a podcaster that did a video saying, I'm wondering how the child was even a part of the celebration like that. He should have been next to the mom or dad. If there was ice that got spilled on the child, that you got to be careful when children are around, because just what happened, we're questioning Michael. You're alleged. So now that they're trying to say it a different way, now that they're saying he's trying to get the ice away from him or off of him, the parent should be doing that. You got to keep your eyes on your child 24/7, 7 days a week. If you're going to have him around adult men, adult women, you got to have that child right next to you. You're responsible for your child. A child should be a part of a celebration, but it's the parent's responsibility. If something's going on with that child, it's handled by the parent, period. So the dad should have been shaking the ice off his shirt, shaking it off the shirt and then shaking it from the bottom or whatever. And it looks as if Michael Jordan was trying to help. We get it. The parents should have been doing that, because now you got us thinking, okay, why are you and da, 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 da. And they showed other stuff of him tapping. Football players tap people's behinds too. But this one right here, we've seen it. We cannot unsee it. So concerning. So concerning. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
There are just some things that are probably in there that are very hard to permanently erase, including emails which are going to be very important, I believe, in this case, correspondence and photographs. I mean, you've got Michael Wolff, who's a Trump biographer, who's written 4 books, I believe, about Donald Trump, who went on a podcast last week and said openly that Epstein had shown him the photographs of them together, Epstein and Trump, and that some of the photos included Trump with topless girls sitting on his lap and laughing and so on. Well, it's hard to make evidence like that go away. And if there are lots of people who've seen it, or there might be other copies of it out there, it's hard to make it go away. So you start destroying evidence like that. You start destroying emails and texts.
Think about it. Back in the day, if he wasn't in the position or as rich as he was, a lot of those women wasn't going to fool with him. A lot of those pageant girls wasn't going to fool with him. He wasn't a looker. There are some fine actors that are fine. He was doing what he was doing because he wasn't that great of a looker. People were trying to get close to because he was rich. He wasn't going to be able to have those girls around him, near him, by him. And sometimes that's the one thing. When you're not a looker, you find yourself a guy that can help you get the girls. Help you get the girls. When you look at those girls, they're just thinking, I'm by this ... They probably knew he had a hotel. But if you were a looker, go back and look at the pictures. His eyebrows, his hair, even now, it is what it is. I know he's, head of, but I'm just saying, sometimes when a person is not a looker, they find a guy that's going to help them get the girls. What do they call it when you're at a bar and someone tries to help you? They have your back. What is it called? Come on. When somebody has your back. Whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That too. They have your back trying to get the girls. Go talk to her. I'm going to help you. I'm married, but I'm going to help you. What is it called? But anyway, y'all know what I'm trying to say. Oh my goodness, the M word. You guys are funny. Wingman. Yeah, he wanted people to help him being the wingman. The wingman. Look at the videos of how he one time grabbed that girl closer to him, and then he tapped her behind. Look at Melania. She don't look happy. Look at Melania's face. How many clips? How many clips have y'all seen that Melania grabs her hand back? And she like, don't touch me. Hello? Melania don't even want to be touched or bothered, but she's liking the position she's in, and she's liking the benefits of it. Yes. Poor Melania. And then people be talking about, I'll be general because I got to be careful. People be saying, are they smelling something? Are these older Congress people controlling their bowels? I got to be careful what I say. Y'all, there's so much going on. Oh my goodness. Melania looks uninterested. She's like, I'm staying for the money. I'm staying for my child. I'm staying for the money. I'm staying for my child. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
And those things reappear, then
if y'all just not coming in, I'll play this so y'all can hear what he said.
Some author.
Hold on.
Democrats have been pulled in, yeah.
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that she and her husband are getting pulled into the Epstein matter to divert.
He's going to speak loud. Just give it a second.
Has something to hide. What's your response?
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author of this bag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know. They got to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
Do you think that she should publicly testify?
Yeah, I've been totally exonerated on Epstein, and it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it. They've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in, yeah.
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that she and her husband are getting pulled into the...
Hold on. And then we see in regards to Clinton and his history. And then we did a video about 2 weeks ago when Trump was like, Clinton's cool. Clinton had said, you shouldn't try and go against Trump. You should try and not run against Trump. So he has some interesting relationship with Clinton. He don't like Hillary, but he seems like he down for Clinton. Y'all notice that what he was saying about Clinton 2 weeks ago? Melania, Melania, Melania. Oh my goodness. Women, make sure when you get married, you love your spouse because they're going to age, they're going to change. We've seen so many pictures of Melania grabbing her hand back, like, don't touch me, leave me alone. Let's change the subject. Let's move on. Even when he was trying to say, look at her, she's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. She was like, next question.
It's become clear that not only were you involved in some way in the original events, but you're trying to cover it up.
Right.
And you might be better off just making arguments about how, well, yeah, the president may have been in compromising positions. It might not look good, but he didn't really do anything bad. Meantime, we don't want to lose sight of what's really going on here, which is this was a human trafficking, child sex abuse ring. And the Trump administration, as an administration, has been doing everything in their power to dismantle the anti-human trafficking, anti-child abuse programs and funding that we've got at the Department of Justice, at the Department of State, at HHS, in agencies and departments throughout the government. They've been dismantling the funding to combat human trafficking, and the people who work on that have been screaming from the rooftops that this is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
If you take America off the field.
Yeah, that's an excellent, often overlooked point in all of this.
You introduce your buddy.
Like the video, like the video. And I don't know who's taken over or tried to take over for Epstein, but you got to be careful of these organizations. They into some weird stuff too. I'm hearing a lot about a certain organization, and we covered it last week. I'm hearing a lot about a certain organization. Wolf of Wall Street did an amazing video over the weekend. Wolf of Wall Street did an amazing video over the weekend. Let's continue.
And built their brands and spoken openly and proudly about their efforts to take down, this deep state pedophile ring that encompassed the highest echelons of government. Don Jr. spoke about it. J.D. Vance spoke about it. They've been talking about it on podcasts with Tucker Carlson and all of their influencers. The president spoke about it from the highest levels of office, and now they find themselves taking vote after vote after vote, secreting this very information, preventing the release of the very information that they themselves put themselves out there saying that they were going to deliver to their constituents. And so what are these people saying behind the scenes if you have the opportunity to speak to any of them?
Well, a couple of them have taken the position with me that, look, this doesn't look good, but it was all conspiracy theory. Given that it was conspiracy theory, all they can really do is to just let it all hang out and show that there's nothing there. And if indeed it was all conspiracy theory and there are no names of the rich and powerful involved in this, they would let it all hang out. But I think others understand what a dangerous territory Donald Trump has entered here, because he brought all of the attention on this, and the spotlight is now on him. And I don't think they know where it's going to go, but they don't think that he's going to, it's within his character to try to really release anything and disclose stuff. He's just going to try to fight it till his presidency. And, he's going to go from talking about, Russia, 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 or insurrection, 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 to just talking about Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much. We're about to get a quick lesson in how potent the use of Biden's auto pen is as a distraction technique. So, with that said, Congressman, I appreciate your time today. I appreciate you keeping this in the spotlight. And
don't forget that was
my honor to be joined by the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama. Mr. President, thanks so much.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. There's 289 in the building. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the subscribe button. We're about to get into hot topics, trending topics. Jesse Jackson has passed away. Prayers for his family. R.I.P. to Jesse Jackson. There are a lot of great people that tried to do a lot for the community and their community people. We were just listening to Brian Cohen, and he interviewed Obama. I did do some shorts regarding that. So right now we're about to get to hot topics, trending topics. Also, prayers for Nancy for a safe return. Praying that they bring that lady back home to her family. There's a lot going on regarding that too. And TMZ has said things and da. So let's get into the part in regards to Jesse Jackson. We're going to cover this for 5 minutes. So, he's done a lot for his community. There's going to be some weird people that's going to have things to say, and just pray for them. We're just going to honor just for a moment. I mean, my family has, My family is, so we're just going to do a few different things, play a few different clips, and then we're going to talk Nancy. So just give me a few minutes. Hold on one second. He has passed away. Over the last few years, we did notice he had been looking away. I think they had said that he had Parkinson's. So let me allow them to talk about it. So prayers for Jesse Jackson. Yeah, he has done a lot for the community. There are going to be some weird pages that's going to try and talk about Martin, and there's going to be some weird pages that's going to talk about Jesse Jackson. Let's continue. Prayers go out to his family. And I'm not going, there's used to be pages I'd listen to, and it's like, well, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, RIP to Jesse Jackson. Let's go. Fair use reaction clip.
Jackson has died. ABC News has confirmed Reverend Jesse Jackson has died. For more than 5 decades, he stood as a towering figure of the civil rights movement, rising to prominence in the 1960s alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a vocal champion fighting for desegregation and equality for Black Americans and marginalized communities, a fierce advocate for voting rights. Reverend Jackson was at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis the night Dr. King was assassinated. He was standing in the courtyard and was among the first to reach him after that fatal shot was
I'm
fired.
going to show y'all pictures.
He founded Operation Push, dedicated.
I'm going to show y'all pictures. Excuse my nails. I have some stuff I got to do, and I'm looking cute. Let's continue.
Improving the economic status of African Americans and disadvantaged groups. A trailblazer and 2-time presidential candidate. He ran for the Democratic nomination in 1984 and 1988. His Rainbow Coalition was designed to form a diverse alliance of African Americans, Latinos, Asian Americans, Native Americans, women, and the LGBTQ community. Reverend Jackson was visibly moved to tears when President Obama was first elected in 2008, the realization of his lifelong work and unparalleled victory of the civil rights movement. His life was dedicated to civil rights during some of America's most turbulent times, a legacy of steadfast activism, giving a voice to millions and helping reshape the American landscape. Pierre Thomas with a look back at Jackson's life.
All of his life, the Reverend Jesse Jackson preaching, exhorting, demanding justice, quest to help his people and nation overcome.
We ain't the bottom, we're the foundation.
Always marching, civil rights nonviolent soldier. There he was, shoulder to shoulder with Martin Luther King Jr., witnessing the beatings of Bloody Sunday on television. Jackson eventually became one of the top lieutenants in the critical Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which challenged the Jim Crow South's withering oppression. A witness to history, he was there on that fateful April evening when King was struck down by an assassin's bullet.
I tried to feel his head and I asked him, I said, Dr. King, do you hear me? Dr. King, do you hear me? And he didn't say anything.
After a leadership struggle with King's successor, Reverend Ralph Abernathy, Jackson split from the SCLC and formed a new organization, People United to Save Humanity. Push.
Beautiful.
After Dr. King, I don't think anyone captured the spirit of America like Reverend Jackson, and he took the movement north. I think Jesse Jackson was the link from that generation of King and them all the way to my generation, and then the generation behind me.
The first wave of the civil rights movement had succeeded in breaking down significant barriers, but Jackson's primary focus was on economic empowerment.
We know that we're worthy of respect and protection, but nobody really knows our name, and so we're really still struggling.
He broke boundaries in politics, twice running for president, first in 1984 under the banner of a rainbow coalition.
Our flag is red, white, and blue, but our nation is rainbow. Red, yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight.
In 1988, he was, for a time, the Democratic Party's frontrunner for the presidential nomination, winning 11 primaries and caucuses before eventually losing the nomination to Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis.
I'd rather go down in the stirring fight than drowse to death at the sheltered shore.
Jackson also took on the role of freelance international negotiator, meeting with some of the world's most brutal tyrants.
Overseas, the American black activist Jesse Jackson has become an intermediary in the Middle East.
In 1984, he met with Syria's Hafez al-Assad.
Goodman and the Reverend Jackson arrived at Andrews Air Force Base,
securing the release of downed American naval officer, Lieutenant Robert Goodman. In 1990, he held talks with Saddam Hussein to free foreign nationals being held in Iraq as human shields. And in 1999, he went behind enemy lines again to meet with Slobodan Milosevic to negotiate the return of 3 American prisoners of war. At times, he was a spiritual advisor, counseling President Clinton in his darkest hour, facing impeachment over a sex scandal. But Jackson had his own moments where he fell far short of what he had championed. In the mid-1980s, facing controversy for allegedly making a highly offensive remark about the Jewish community.
I deny, and I do not recall ever making such a statement in any context that would be remotely construed as being either anti-Semitic or anti-Israel. However innocent and unintended, it was insensitive and wrong.
And as an ordained minister, having to admit in 2001, he had fathered a child after an affair with a former staffer.
Wow.
Although somewhat diminished, Jackson leaned in on his faith of forgiveness and redemption and kept fighting, keeping his eyes on the prize. He saw one of his hopes realized on election night in 2008 in Chicago's Grant Park.
America, I have never been more hopeful than I am tonight that we will get there.
He wept as President-elect Barack Obama delivered his victory speech. In recent years, the effects of age and a long illness had slowed his gait, but not his spirit. After the conviction of Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin for the killing of George Floyd, Jackson made it a point to be there in Minneapolis. Through it all, Jackson's faith and hope in what America could be endured.
America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. I love you very much.
Our thanks to Pierre Thomas. Jackson is survived by his wife Jacqueline and their family just releasing a statement saying, "Our father was a servant leader not only to our family, but to the oppressed, the voiceless, overlooked around the world." And they added, "We shared him with the world, and in return, the world became part of our extended family. His unwavering belief in justice, equality, and love uplifted millions, and we ask you to honor his memory by continuing the fight for the values he lived by." Family adding in the statement that public observances will be held in Chicago. Final arrangements for Reverend Jackson's Celebration of Life services, including all public events, will be released by the Rainbow Push Coalition.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Like the video as you guys come in. Well, hold on one second. Like the video as you guys come in. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, you guys. We're trying to hit 50K. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We are trying to hit 50K. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Reverend Jesse Jackson has died. The 84-year-old civil rights activist, Baptist minister, and two-time presidential candidate passed away earlier this morning, according to a statement from his family and Rainbow Push. The Jackson family wrote, quote, "Our father was a servant leader, not only to our family, but to the oppressed, the voiceless, and the overlooked around the world. His unwavering belief in justice, equality, and love uplifted millions, and we ask you to honor his memory by continuing the fight for the values he lived by." Jackson died peacefully, surrounded by his loved ones. No cause of death was given, Reverend Al. And that he had been ill for a while, but this moment, very difficult no matter what.
Very difficult. He had been ill with Parkinson's and palsy for the last several years. It had continued to diminish. I would go every couple of months and see him. I went, I especially would go on Christmas Day after we feed the hungry here in New York. And my daughters and I went a few weeks ago, and he couldn't talk, he couldn't walk for the last several months. So at one level, you didn't want to see him suffer, but at another level, you grappling with him passing. His family called me in the middle of the night, said he had passed. We had prayer before they took his body out of the room where he was. I talked to his son, Yusef, and Jesse Jr. But I think people should realize Jesse Jackson helped change American politics. He changed civil rights. He brought proportional representation into the primary. Before him, you could win by 2 votes and you take all the delegates in the state. He changed that, which led to a Barack Obama being able to be nominated. He led to many changes. He kept Dr. King's dream going, and we have to keep his going. So I think that I've known him since my mother brought me to Operation Breadbasket through Reverend William Jones when I was 12 years old, and I've been around Reverend Jackson 59 years. So it's a long time, and we've gone through a lot together, and I'll miss him greatly.
Rev, I'm so sorry for the loss of your friend this morning. I appreciate you being here to talk about it. And you mentioned his connection to Dr. King. I mean, he was there on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel on April 4th, 1968, when Dr. King was assassinated. Can you just talk about his place in the Reverend Jackson's place in the movement after that, when it was looking for who is the leader now?
When Reverend Jackson was the youngest person on staff, and what a lot of people don't understand, Dr. King's organization, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, was a Southern regional organization. He went to Chicago and started dealing with urban issues to try and nationalize. And there he met theology student, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who was in 26, 27. Reverend Jackson was the youngest member, then later put on his staff a year later. And he was about 12 years younger than Dr. King, so he's almost the next generation. So he used to always tease me and others, Melvin Morris, Reverend James Meeks and others, that y'all are a generation behind me like I was Dr. King. And he would tell us stories of how he was being trained by Dr. King. So his job was as difficult as the job that preceded him. is to keep the Voting Rights Act in, because every 5 to 6 years you had to reenact it. It is now under threat. To keep some of the wins of the civil rights movement of the 60s was to maintain it in the 70s and 80s and 90s. That was as difficult as it was to get in the first place, and he was the one that was out front doing that.
You know, Rev, a few people that remember now, but in 1986, he organized politically in a way that no civil rights leader had organized before, and actually helped the Democrats do extremely well in the middle of Reaganism. And the Democrats had a huge win in 1986, and all fingers pointed towards Jesse Jackson's organization. So he really knew politically how to organize. It was followed up 2 years later by his own historic run for president. Talk about what that meant, not only to the civil rights movement, but to you, and eventually to Barack Obama, who would run successfully in 2008.
Not get a consolidation loan until you see this.
Like the video, like the video. There's about 319 in the building. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K. Yes, our condolences to his friends, family. RIP to Jesse Jackson. Please hit the subscribe button. Thanks for being here. Be kind in the comments. YouTube will block your comments, and if I see it, I'll block it. Be kind in the comments. Show respect. We deal in respect over here. We don't deal in disrespect. Let's continue. 84. 84. Let's continue. Fair use ration clip.
He ran in 84, and in 84 he registered a lot of voters that led exactly to what you're talking about, Joe. In 86, the midterm elections at that time, these newly registered voters that had been energized by the Jackson 84 campaign came out in states that had not seen that kind of turnout and literally changed the Congress. So in 84, Jackson's run helped to put the Democrats in position. In 86, led on to 88, where he had the historic run. And I think that it was his historic run that was able to change proportional delegates in the convention. Had those rules not been changed, Barack Obama would not have been nominated some 20 years later, because Hillary Clinton won in all the major states, and she would have won to take all. The fact that he would get his proportion kept him in the running to where he was the nominee. What he meant to me personally, he taught me activism. He would tell me that preaching was not just having one church, it's being able to deal with the issues of the world, and that was the kind of way he taught me. And he was definitely the most definitive teacher in my life, including, he teased me, he used to do a show on CNN, Both Sides. He said he was training me for Politics Nation.
Rev, in 1988, he did well in the Democratic primary process. He came second in the nominating campaign. Why didn't he run again? I mean, having done so well in 88, did he then just decide, actually, you know what, I could do better outside of the strict political system, and he was this kind of informal diplomat that he could and founding Rainbow Nation? Did he feel he could just have more influence on American society, not in the traditional presidential running race structure?
He basically was not a politician. He was one that saw politics as a means, not an end. And he saw himself fighting in the social policy arena. He had accumulated such influence that he used it to help what he wanted to see done in terms of social policy. We had started seeing the country go back to racial profiling and immigration rights even then, and the rights of women. He felt he could be better with a broader context, and he was going global. He went and got hostages that no one else could get out of Iraq. He brought home hostages. He went and got Goodman out of Syria. And this had never been done in the civil rights movement, had never been done at that level. Jesse Jackson broke ground that no one had done. And then later, politically, he and his wife, Jacqueline Jackson, who's been the rock of the family, the rock of the movement, unspoken, but the rock, they were born and raised in the segregated South, and they put two of their sons in Congress. So his political legacy, two of his sons, one is in Congress now, another one running, Jesse Jr. is running again for Congress. To have Jackie and Jesse Jackson born in segregation, to put two sons in Congress in the span of their lifetime, shows how far America has come, but how far we yet need to go.
And again, just a reminder, Mika, of 1988 and what a significant campaign he had in 88 historically. Following up on the history that was made in 86, Jackson came in second to Mike Dukakis, but beat out candidates future Vice President Al Gore, future President Joe Biden, and Dick Gephardt, and many others. Johnny Apple of the New York Times was so impressed that he called 1988 the year of Jackson. We obviously our him for all that he has done through the years for civil rights, and right now, though, our thoughts are with his family and loved ones who obviously hurting about the loss of Jesse Jackson, as are millions of people across America today.
Be kind in the comments. Be kind in the comments. Thanks for being here, everyone. I appreciate you. Be kind in the comments. Be respectful in the comments. There's about 182 in the building. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K. The likes should match the views. Continue to get the likes up. Let's continue. We're just doing some hot topics, trending topics. Thanks for being here. My show's a little different. I cover what I want to cover when I want to cover it. I don't stick to just one or two subjects. We cover a lot that's going on. Like the video as you guys come in. Thanks for being here. We will cover what's going on in regards to Nancy if there's any updates. It is being reported. Oh my goodness. It is being reported that the family has been cleared of any wrongdoing. It is being reported that alleged TMZ has more updates. I'm gonna go here. Well, let's see what else is going on. Let's do hot topics, trending topics. If you guys did not know, Netflix is doing a series in regards to Tyra Banks. This is going to be something that people are going to talk about. We see that there's alleged her name is in the files. I may one day cover a bunch of celebrities that's possibly in the files. You see the title, what's going on. Many people are called out. Many people. Many people are being called out. Of course, this is another picture with Jesse Jackson and Martin Luther King. Condolences to them both. We've lost a lot of greats. We've lost a lot of great musicians. We've lost a lot of great civil rights activists. We've lost a lot of greats. We really have. Let's see if there's what else is going on. People are talking about Ray J. Okay. We're going to talk Nancy. Many people did not like that the sheriff has said this. Nancy kidnapping, the sheriff said it could take years to find her. Many people are not happy that he said that, and I get it. Many people are not happy that he said that. Let's get to some hot topics.
Brand new reporting that I just confirmed in the last couple of minutes, and that is that FBI agents have been to several gun stores right here in the Tucson area. And when they show up to the gun stores, I have learned that they have 40 names and 40 photographs that they are showing employees of the gun stores and asking them if any of those people have been inside the store or if any of those people have purchased weapons.
Like the video, like the video. Fair use reaction clip. We're going to do a few things in regards to getting some updates in regards to Nancy. Praying for Nancy for a safe return to her family. There's a lot going on. It is being reported that the family has been cleared. I was always wondering if the family had, many people were questioning, and we get it. They were often at the daughter's house, but we have to, innocent till proven guilty. So there's that. Let's go here. Like the videos, you guys come in. Thanks for being here. Praying for return to her family. This is somebody's mother, period. She's 84. We're hearing a lot. There's a lot going on. Let's go here. Like the videos, you guys come in.
It is official. Our reports confirm that Lego.
Hold on. Like the video. There's about 236 in the building.
Parents of Nancy Guthrie.
Including a major decision from investigators. It is February 17th. This is today. Desperate search. Authorities following more tips and potential clues as the race to find Savannah's mother enters its 17th day. Police now officially clearing the Guthrie family and their spouses. The investigation moving forward with officials waiting on DNA results from inside the home and that glove found nearby. We're live in Arizona with the very latest. Chilling scene, a deadly shooting caught on camera at a high school hockey game.
Did y'all hear about the high school hockey game? So concerning. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
In Rhode Island. Terrified players and fans racing for cover.
At first it was like pop, pop, and I thought it was balloons, but it just kept going.
3 people killed. What we're learning about the shooter this morning and the Good Samaritan who saved lives. High stakes. Top negotiators for the U.S. and Iran holding.
Hold on. Let's go forward. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Come after you, Sonny. The Corleone family will be out.
Hold on. They're just doing updates of what they're going to talk about.
2 moms in their 40s race to historic medals in bobsledding. While the U.S. women's hockey team cruises into the gold medal game.
Here's Layla Edwards. Edwards scores!
And America's Bleed and Angels getting set for their moment in the spotlight with a little help from Taylor Swift. Their quest for.
Let's continue.
Where we begin the ongoing search for Nancy Guthrie, today marking 17 days since Savannah's beloved mom went
17
missing.
days.
The Pima County Sheriff announcing all members of the Guthrie family, including siblings and spouses, have officially been cleared as possible suspects, releasing a statement that reads
17 days, and it's the 17th. So whenever we're wondering how many days it's been for her return, we're just going to have to realize tomorrow's the 18th. It's going to be 18 days. So at first I was always, what day is it? How many days has she been missing? 17th, 17 days. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
In part, quote, to suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel.
It comes amid a new focus on DNA evidence from 2 separate locations. The glove found some 2 miles away from Nancy's home, and samples taken from the property that are not Nancy's or anybody close to her.
We've got it all covered for you once again, and we will start with NBC's Liz Kreutz, who remains on the ground for us in Tucson. Liz, good morning.
Hi, Craig. Hi, Hoda. Good morning to both of you. This is the first time that the sheriff has officially come out and cleared anybody as a suspect. Overnight, I asked the sheriff why he did it, and he told me that kindness matters and that he believes it is his duty to stand up.
Yes, I really hope she's okay. Someone's coming in and saying, who's this lady? There's been major coverage regarding this for the last 2.5, 3 weeks. Everyone's been talking about Nancy Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie's daughter. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
And be a voice for the victims, in this case, Savannah and her family. More than 2 weeks since Nancy Guthrie went missing, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos issuing a strong statement Monday, saying none of the Guthrie family members, including siblings and spouses, are suspects, saying the family has been nothing but cooperative and gracious and are victims in this case, adding to suggest otherwise is not only wrong, it is cruel. The Guthrie family are victims, plain and simple. The statement, a direct response to an army of so-called armchair detectives, internet sleuths, in the case, and at times made up wild and often inaccurate theories about Nancy's disappearance 17 days ago, some of it fueled by erroneous media reports. Until now, the sheriff has been reluctant to rule out anyone since there's still no suspect. But Nanos tells NBC News he did it because sometimes we forget we're human and we hurt and kindness matters. I'm not going to sit in silence when others are attacking the innocent. And the sheriff telling KOLD 13 family members were ruled out as suspects in the first few days. We're also learning more about the tactics investigators have been using, including trying to track down Nancy through her pacemaker, according to the sheriff, and canvassing local gun stores, according to a federal law enforcement official. Another outstanding question, that glove found 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's home that the FBI says contains unknown male DNA. While a person familiar with the matter says the glove is consistent with the one seen on the suspect in the surveillance video, forensic experts are increasingly skeptical. Is this glove the aha moment that some people might be making it out to be?
Well, in my opinion, it's not, because it's really too far from the crime scene. I think my biggest question is, have they found DNA from an unknown male inside that house?
DNA was found on the property that, according to the sheriff's office, is not Nancy's or someone close to her. The sheriff tells us investigators are still working to determine who it belongs to. And the sheriff also says that they're looking into the possibility that, like the suspect's backpack, his clothes, like his face mask, his zip-up jacket, that those items were also bought at Walmart. He says that investigators are actively right now working with Walmart management, and part of that is trying to figure out who, if anyone, may have purchased all or some of those items. Craig?
Liz Kreutz, Force there in Arizona. Liz, thank you.
We're joined now by NBC's national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter, who's been following this every step of the investigation. So, Tom, yesterday the sheriff announced that the family has been cleared. He said to say otherwise would be cruel. What made him say that at this point?
Yeah, I mean, first off, anytime you're running an investigation like this into a disappearance, an abduction, you got to start with the last person that saw her alive. And in this case, it was the Guthrie family. And it was a member of the Guthrie family that dropped Nancy off at the house on that Saturday night. And now we know, obviously, she went missing in the overnight hours on that Sunday. So any investigation would naturally start there. But I think it's important for people to understand there's been a lot of online speculation about this. Of course, the sheriff is not initially going to rule out anybody because they haven't solved the crime yet. Throughout the entirety of this investigation, there is not a single person that I have talked to that has been briefed on it, familiar with all the facts of the case, that has ever said there was a single piece of evidence that tied back to any member of the Guthrie family, period. And so that's why they have to keep an open mind. That's why you've heard him say we're not clearing anybody, but that's why they feel so strongly to come out and make that statement. And in this environment, we've seen it on this case for sure, and on a number of cases, there's all of this online speculation, the online true crime community, and it gets people spun up, and then you have to see law enforcement divert their attention away from their job to knock down these, frankly, in this instance, baseless rumors.
Yeah, a lot of nonsense online.
There
a lot of nonsense. Let's talk about what the sheriff also said about the clothes that he may have been wearing in addition to the backpack that may have also been purchased at Walmart. How significant is that?
I actually think that could be quite significant. So we've been focused on the backpack because we know from Walmart's financial filings that that specific backpack is a private label. So they're the only ones that sell it. But now if they're looking into the idea that some of the other items of clothing that this person in the doorbell camera is wearing could have been purchased there as well, that could be really helpful because it's one thing just to buy a backpack. But if somebody's buying a backpack and this specific jacket and that specific mask, they will take all the store records. We started talking about this a little bit last week. Now it's so much more enhanced because you can say who bought all three. And if you're buying online, same story. Buying in store, same story. You're going to try to look for somebody who's actually bought all three of those things. That's going to be a lot harder than just somebody who bought one thing. I know some people say, well, what if he bought those items with cash? Well, you know that it was a cash purchase. You could go back to the store and hopefully there might be some video surveillance of either a car or somebody coming into the store that would be very helpful to this investigation. So that actually could be a bit of good news, a bit of hopeful news this morning.
Okay. Thank you. Some hopeful news, Tom. Thank you as always. Again, we want to put up the tip line right now. If you know anything, if you've heard anything about this case, there's the phone number, 1-800-CALL-FBI.
1-800.
Julie.
1-800-CALL the FBI. Praying for Nancy to return back to her family, you guys. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Let's go here in regards to Fox News. Like the video as you guys come in. There's about 265 in the building. Please hit subscribe and thank you.
Nancy Guthrie. Meantime, TMZ received another note from a person claiming to know who did take Nancy Guthrie 2 weeks ago. Back again this morning, TMZ executive producer Charles Lati-Vautier. Nice to have you back on. Good day. So, are these notes being emailed to you, Charles? Like, what's going on with these notes?
Yeah, they're all coming in the exact same way through our tip email inbox. And the individual always identifies, it's always clear that it's the same person because they have that Bitcoin account attached to it where they are still hoping to get the $100,000 reward in 2 payments, $50,000 up front. Then they would give the information to the police about the whereabouts of the kidnapper. And then after that, they would get another $50,000. They keep saying that they're not going to email anymore and that they're done. And then they email again. This time they said they were prompted by seeing the video that Savannah posted on Sunday. And so they felt moved to help her. I know to everyone listening, you go like, well, if you really care that much, just provide the information. They clearly don't want to do that. And they said that they fear for their lives because there's going to be some retribution from kidnappers or people associated with them. But, Harvey, we've sent all of these to the FBI. And in a conversation yesterday, Harvey suggested to the FBI that he wanted to do what he did yesterday, which was to post a video message appealing directly to this person to give us the information. And that way we would give it to the FBI, but now there's a public record of the fact that this person provided the information that led to the capture of the kidnapper or kidnappers, as they have referenced that there's more than one person involved. And then that way they would know that everyone would know that they're the ones who deserve the $100,000 reward and that there couldn't be the FBI couldn't say maybe, maybe not and sort of hold up payment. So that was the suggestion. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if this person will agree with that. But the FBI was not opposed to Harvey making that plea to this person, and we'll see if they respond.
Right, so Harvey made the plea. I mean, it's one way to figure out if this guy's not a crackpot, I mean, how do you know, right? Although, some of the information was intriguing.
Prayers for Nancy and a safe return home back to her family. And showing proof of life, though, too. You know what I mean? Proof of life. Is she okay? Is she comfortable? Are they feeding her good? Is she comfortable? Is she warm? Does she have access to a restroom? You know what I'm saying? At 84. What, why, how? Prayers for Nancy for a safe return. The family has made quite a few videos. If you didn't see Savannah's video, I did post it in my shorts. The last one she did a few days ago and the one prior, I did post that as well. Let's continue.
Which was he apparently saw Nancy in Mexico, right?
Wednesday. Yeah, it says that it would have been last Wednesday now that he saw Nancy with the kidnappers.
Allegedly, that's what TMZ is saying. Many people are side-eyeing TMZ and what their part is. Are they making it better? Are they making it worse? That's up for the FBI and the sheriff to decide. Every time Harvey does something, he says he clears it with the sheriff and the FBI. So let's continue. Let me know in the comments. Do you feel that TMZ is making it better or worse? Let me know in the comments. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 3 if you knew where you're watching from. Press 5 if you've been here before, where you're watching from. If you want me to see your comment, send a super chat. I will glance at it and see if there's something I need to communicate. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
He said with them, and
good morning. Good morning.
He or she, I should say, was told to shut up and keep quiet. Now, the fact that they are emailing us clearly would show the kidnapper that they're not keeping quiet. So I think that's why they are saying they fear for their lives, if this is all true. And the other part of this is that if it's not true, whoever this person is who's emailing now knows that they have committed criminal fraud, and that they could be in big trouble for that. So this person also says that they have a record, that they were convicted for burglary, or they had a burglary case 10 years ago. So that's a little hint as to why they're worried about coming forward and actually dealing with law enforcement directly.
Got it. Okay. DNA, I know they were testing the gloves. Is today the day you think we might get some information on that DNA testing?
Well, everyone's got fingers crossed, right, that today they get that information. It should. We thought it might come in as early as yesterday. It did not. So obviously there's more anticipation that it will come in today, and that hopefully there's a match for it in the FBI's CODIS system that has the database of all felonies and other people who have been involved in crimes, that hopefully it will match someone in that database. And if not, hopefully it will match some of the DNA that was found in Nancy's home that the sheriff's department has said they know it is not Nancy or any of her family members. So if it were to match that, that would be the best case scenario. So we are anticipating that. I know the FBI and the sheriff's department probably anticipating it much more than we are.
And have they found anything more? I know yesterday they were talking about gloves everywhere. And some of those gloves belong to some of the investigators who were taking their gloves off and I guess just throwing them on the ground. But we don't know if there are any more pieces of evidence that could, bring in some potential clues as to who's done this.
I got to tell you, Rosanna, that is the thing about the glove, and not to look, we're obviously hoping that there's a match in the DNA when it comes back. The glove always seemed really bizarre to me. That if you are this person who showed up at Nancy's door and you kidnapped this woman and you're driving off, you're making your getaway, why do you throw your gloves out a mile from her home?
Right.
When you're driving out into desert, if you are inclined to throw your gloves out, why would you do it there? Why would you wait until you're further out into barren desert and then throw it out? But really, I think, why throw it out at all? Keep everything.
I know. I don't believe it. I'm thinking there's better ways to dispose of it, but I'm not giving anybody.
But criminals make dumb mistakes all the time. That's how they get caught. Right. So let's hope.
All right, Charles. Well, we always appreciate you coming on Good Day New York. We're going to watch TMZ later. See what.
Yeah, we did cover that. She's 84. Why was she alone? What was the alarm system like? Was the door locked? The person told the family the next day. How is it that the family didn't know that she wasn't in the home? You have to protect your parents as they get older. There needs to be some type of security measures in regards to the parent. The daughter did live close. It's being reported that she took a Uber or Lyft to the daughter, alleged, and then someone of the family members dropped her off. So there is a lot going on. Prayers for Nancy. There's a lot going on. Many people are saying at 84, hard for her to protect herself. So let's listen to this. Let's listen to this one real quick. Like the video.
Cleared as suspects. It comes as.
Hold on.
That all members of the Guthrie family are cleared as suspects. It comes as Sheriff Chris Nanos tells the Daily Mail that he is stuck on a motive for the abductor, saying, quote, the motivation for it is where we get stuck, right? Is it for money? I mean, we had the one demand where they asked for money, but is it really for money or is it for revenge? For something. Forensic psychologist Dr. John Delatorre joins me now. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, a motive is your area of expertise. So when it comes to peace and the unique nature of it, what do you think?
Yeah, it's really complex. You don't really see this as a typical kind of kidnapping, which is a kidnapping for money. When you see what at least what has been presented to us as the public, it doesn't really come across that way, but it also doesn't really come across as some home invasion or burglary gone wrong. Now, a lot of that could be because the law enforcement are holding that information. But when you hear statements like this, it also seems like law enforcement is kind of stuck. It goes back to some of the announcements that they had made about wanting more information from the public. It just creates so much noise that we have a really hard time figuring out who would want to do this to her right then. And those are the questions we need to answer. Who would want to do this to her then? And once we get that, then we can start following some leads.
Yeah, you have Savannah Guthrie, who just made an appeal to the kidnapper on Instagram, saying it's never too late to do the right thing. And then there was this very different statement from President Trump yesterday, who told the New York Post that he would want the Justice Department to seek the death penalty if Nancy Guthrie was killed in this. From a psychological standpoint, these are two very different statements there. What are the effectiveness of either of those?
It depends really on the mindset of the individual right now, whoever is holding her right now. If they're in a panic state, then they might listen to whatever Savannah Guthrie is saying and hoping that she can use her power, use her influence to kind of assist in that realm. But if the person is already antisocial, which it kind of looks like, if you're willing to break into someone's house and take someone, right, take a human being, then there's a little bit of more antisociality. And so you might see what President Trump is saying, and maybe as that individual decide to push back, because who is President Trump to then try to tell me what's going to happen next? So it becomes really complicated, and whatever that person is listening to, that will determine what the next decision that they make, what behavior that they're going to make next.
Absolutely. Complicated to say the least. Forensic psychologist Dr. John Delatorre, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
So concerning. Prayers for a safe return home to her family. So concerning. A lot going on. A lot going on, y'all. 84. And she's taken away from her home. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know that there is, let me go down a little bit. There is a Netflix special. Many people are talking about Tyra. Many people are talking about Miss J. Alexander. Yeah. So I watched some of it just to give me something to do, because of course we cover a lot. YouTuber, bloggers, some of this stuff is taxing. So sometimes we got to have an escape. So I did watch a little bit of this. And I'm sure many of the girls are going to talk about what they experienced, the highs, the lows, the comments that were given to them. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, go check it out. Let me go this way a little bit. Go check it out. Some of the ex-cast members are calling her out. I also watched a little bit of Love is Blind. A lot going on with that show. The couples seem so happy in the beginning. And then week 2, week 3, a lot going on. One of the cast members lost a family member. So the girl's like, give me more attention. It's like, girl, he is struggling with family stuff. And when that happens, I'm surprised that they didn't let the cast member leave on Love is Blind. If there's a family member that passed, some of these reality shows are interesting. They want reaction. They want to see you good, bad, ugly. Got to be careful on reality shows you go on. You definitely have to be strong in mind, body, soul, spirit. So, not certain. I guess some people are still close to Tyra. Some people are not. Some people helped Tyra rise to where the show became, and then some of those friends are no longer close to Tyra. So it is what it is. What happened behind the scenes? People being fired, people that go. Now is the show coming back? And then this is the other thing we got to be careful of. More shows showing women in a certain light. Pageants. So hopefully these girls are going to be all right. They got to stay alert, stay focused. See how there's a shift? We weren't really talking Tyra because, once again, modelings and getting other young girls to say, oh, the show is coming back. Oh, I have a possibility. Young women, be careful going into these casting calls. Make sure there's your mother, your father, your aunt, uncle, somebody's with you, another girlfriend, and an adult. It just can't be two teens or two 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds just going to these castings. You got to have a responsible adult with you so they'll see certain things. Sometimes younger people see a lot. There's some well, smart, educated young adults, but sometimes you need a parent there to differentiate what's right, what's wrong. And events should always be held in public places. No going to hotels, no meeting up with bars. Anybody can slip something in your drink. Always make sure your drink and your items are covered. Try not to eat or drink at locations. Try. Okay, so let's continue. Oh, let me see. Hold on one second because I probably did need to get that. Hold on one second. Okay, so let me play this in regards to Nancy.
Motive for the abductor, saying, quote, the motivation for it is where we get stuck, right? Is it for money? I mean, we had the one demand where they asked for money, but is it really for money or is it for revenge? For something. Forensic psychologist Dr. John Delatorre joins me now. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, a motive is your area of expertise. So when it comes to this case and the unique nature of it, what do you think?
Yeah, it's really complex. You don't really see this as a typical kind of kidnapping, which is a kidnapping for money. When you see what at least what has been presented to us as the public, it doesn't really come across that way, but it also doesn't really come across as some home invasion or burglary gone wrong. Now, a lot of that could be because the law enforcement are holding that information, but when you hear statements like this, it also seems like law enforcement is kind of stuck. It goes back to some of the announcements that they had made about wanting more information from the public. It just creates so much noise that we have a really hard time figuring out who would want to do this to her right then. And those are the questions we need to answer. Who would want to do this to her then? And once we get that, then we can start following some leads.
Yeah, you have Savannah Guthrie, who just made an appeal to the kidnapper on Instagram saying it's never too late to do the right thing. And then there was this very different statement from President Trump yesterday, who told the New York Post that he would want the Justice Department to seek the death penalty if Nancy Guthrie was killed in this. From a psychological standpoint, these are two very different statements there. What are the effectiveness of either of those?
It depends really on the mindset of the individual right now, whoever is holding her right now. If they're in a panic state, then they might listen to whatever Savannah Guthrie is saying and hoping that she can use her power, use her influence to kind of assist in that realm. But if the person is already antisocial, which it kind of looks like, if you're willing to break into someone's house and take someone, right, take a human being, then there's a little bit of more anti-sociality. And so you might see what President Trump is saying and maybe
Continue with the news.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. And I do want to get you right back into some of the big stories that we are covering on this Tuesday. And of course, you have probably seen this video by now as it has been circulating. We have the latest on the search for Nancy Guthrie, the kidnapped mother of Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie. The sheriff in Pima County, Arizona, saying the Guthrie family and their spouses have been ruled out as suspects. While he didn't explain how the family was cleared, the remarks from Sheriff Chris Nanos come days after he explained that no one had been ruled out. In the meantime, it's now been a week since the doorbell camera video that you're looking at on your screen was released to the public, as the FBI calls that masked man in the video, quote, a suspect. The FBI has determined the man is about 5'9" to 5'10" with an average build. The FBI telling Fox News Digital that DNA recovered from a glove believed to be connected to that suspect in Guthrie's kidnapping is undergoing quality control testing at the sheriff's lab over in Florida. Once that is complete, the profile can then be entered into the FBI's combined DNA index system, and the agency can determine whether it matches anyone in their national database. The FBI also saying that it has not ruled out the possibility of more than one person being involved in the crime. Nancy Guthrie was reported missing on Sunday, February 1st, about 14 hours after investigators say she was dropped off at her home in the Tucson area after dinner with her family. Sheriff Nanos quickly saying it's clear that Guthrie was abducted, and he also says he believes at this point that she is still alive. I want to bring in Greg Sanfilippo, a former New York City Police Department Intel and Counterterrorism Sergeant, now the Vice President of Doyle Security Services, to talk more about it all. Thank you so much, Greg, for taking the time to be here and helping to break this down with your expertise.
Defenders in cybersecurity are always there when we need them. They should have streets, sandwiches, and babies named in their honor, and be the most popular float in the Cybersecurity Day Parade. But most of all, defenders deserve cloud security with comprehensive visibility, built-in forensics, and AI that stops novel threats, all in real time. Darktrace Cloud is the cloud security defenders deserve, and the one they need to defend beyond. The world needs defenders. Defenders need Darktrace.
Star, why I used it in my grandbaby hair, the hair growing fast, child? That scalp on. Okay? You also mentioned the oil too, right? Hold on. The oil too, right? Because I think you said the oil in the bone. But yeah, y'all, I gave these products to 2 of my friends who has kids, and they told me the same thing. Okay, y'all, and for the people who want to know how old your kids have to be, 6 months and older, we suggest that you put it in their hair at 6 months and older. Okay, because younger than that, they're still building their little scalps and stuff like that. So 6 months, okay, y'all. I'm gonna leave the link for these 2 items in case y'all want to get y'all some. Period. I'm not even gonna mess your name up, girl. I'm not even gonna do you like that. Oh, y'all, you ain't know they had basketball t-shirts, right? Grow it and keep it too. And then oh, hold on, I'm about to knock y'all out. Mama said knock you out. They got the back too. It show you the inches of how long your hair is growing so you could keep track. So I'm gonna leave a link for this too in case y'all want to get y'all little t-shirt or something. You ain't know basketball have to have t-shirts? Yeah, they do.
Thanks for having me back, Judge. Of course. And first off, I want to start by mentioning that statement there from Sheriff Chris Nanos. He was very clear on social media yesterday saying that the Guthrie family and their spouses have really been helpful in all of this and that all of them have been cleared as suspects. How exactly does that work? How is the sheriff, how are investigators there able to clear them as suspects 100%?
Good question.
It is a little unusual to publicly exclude someone or clear someone, Josh, but in this case, I think it does show the toll that all this is having on the family and perhaps the.
I think he's doing it because many people have tried to call the family out. Why are they constantly going to the daughter's house? They took this. They're checking her mail. There's a reason why he said it, because I'm sure the family is sad. They don't know what's going on with their mom. They got all these letters being sent to TMZ. So much is going on. So to possibly take the pressure off for the family so they don't have to be worried when they go out in the community and people are side-eyeing them. So he might have did it just to kind of give the family grace. But they've been checking this. They've been checking that. So for him to say, okay, they're cleared, who isn't cleared? Give us the information of who you expect it to be. You know what I mean? I get it. So the family probably needed people to back off. Their mom is missing. We don't need you looking at us weird but we understand. They were at the daughter's house checking the mail. Didn't cars get towed? Cars got towed. So we understand. There's a lot going on. And a lot of stuff is real messy too. Releasing the home back to the family after day 2, 3. People and reporters going in to location. It should have been taped off, stayed taped off. Nobody should have had access to the house, to the yard, nothing. And we've seen that the FBI has gone to the house, gathered more information, going to the pool cleaner, people trying to deliver Amazon packages, people trying to send pizza to that location. So much is going on. So they should have taped it off, kept it taped off, and not had the issues that they're having. Him being at a local sporting event. This was week one. It was the weekend, but people were like, you should not be at a sporting event. And I'm surprised people in the sporting event didn't be like, hey, you're at a sporting event. Go find Nancy. Hey, why are you at a sporting event? Let's find Nancy. I'm surprised they didn't chant him out of there. And then the delay. When what happened that night, 1 something to 2 something in the morning, the family not even knowing she's gone until they get a call from somebody else saying your mom's not where she normally is on a Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, on a Saturday, whatever, Saturday, Sunday. So it had to be in Sunday morning for a service. But the family should have knew that she wasn't home. Life alert, alarm system, doors locked, dropping her off. Did you get her in the house properly? At 84, she shouldn't have to defend for herself at this age. And for her, she has to be like, my goodness, there's all this. You got to know they're probably, saying stuff to her. She's worried in a world that's so big and so large. Couldn't imagine what she's thinking and what she's feeling at 84. And then she has health concerns, health issues. Is she getting her proper medication? Are they feeding her right? This is going to traumatize her. This is traumatizing the family. A lot going on in the news and media. JR Investigate has been doing an amazing job trying to cover this story. People are trying to call out YouTubers and bloggers. People are trying to do the best they can to put out the information to get this lady back home to her family. Prayers for Nancy for a safe return home. Real talk. Now they got podcasters, bloggers, YouTubers mad. Someone made a statement. TMZ is making statements. So, of course, people are looking to the news for media. But, they're saying don't say that it's a burglary gone wrong. Don't say that. So there's certain things that TMZ is saying that people are repeating what TMZ is saying, but people are like, stop repeating what TMZ is saying. Some people are not happy with TMZ. So that's why a lot of times I'll try and get my news from my information from the news. So if they're wrong, then hey. So everyone, I have some things I have to take care of today. I have a busy, busy day. I hope you all have hit subscribe. There's about 138 in the building. If I didn't get those subscribers like I needed, we are going to have to make some changes. I thank you all for getting the likes to 131, but we should be at 300 likes, if not 1,000. This video has over 3,000 people looking at it, listening to it. So everyone do their part, like the video, subscribe to the page. Super chats are welcome, $1, $2. We do have memberships over there. Some of my videos from last week, I blocked it and I put it on members only. We did a lot of deep dives and we covered a lot last week. So a lot of those videos are members only. YouTube has, certain guidelines. And for us to stay within the algorithm, we have to have people hit the like button. You know, interaction is good. Um, I'm trying to hit 50K. It's okay to have goals, you know what I mean? But a lot of us are just trying to put out the information the best way we can. We were cautious about what to say yesterday because I get the guy was doing a breakdown and he was like, what's this, what's that? But at least the family's been cleared. People did not like that the sheriff said this could take months or years. What? But you cleared the family. Who is the person that took her? Why would you say it could take months or years? So a lot of people are not happy with the sheriff. But thanks for being here, everyone. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Prayers for Nancy to come home safely. Prayers for Nancy to come home safely. 84 years old and missing from her home for 17 days. 84. Savannah's a well-known person that's on the Today Show, I could not even imagine. I'm sure she's covered shows, covered topics of people missing. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot going on. So sometimes take things with a grain of salt. A lot of people are just trying to report what they can report and do whatever they can to try and bring this woman home. We did talk Jesse Jackson. We did talk Trump earlier today. RIP to Jesse Jackson. He's passed. Trump says he's exonerated. So there's a lot going on. I try to cover what I can, but I can't cover everything. But I do try and do my shorts at night. 84, 17 days. Yeah. With medical issues. Correct. So now it's the 17th day. So every day that she's missing, that's the days until we hit the month. You know what I mean? So prayers for Nancy. Prayers for Nancy and a safe return. Her family has to be, they're probably not eating right, sleeping right. They're probably feeling like if she's not eating right and sleeping right, we don't know, how can we? Savannah looks exhausted and I get it. Most of us, a lot of us love our parents. I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine. Not my mama, not my daddy. I ain't play about my parents. And even if I didn't play about my parents, even if my sisters and brothers talk wrong, act crazy, I was on their ass. I didn't play about my parents. And my parents would be like, "This is what I want for Christmas, call the kids. This is what I want." So I did not play about my parents at all. Talk to them crazy and you going to get a call from me. Because my parents were so kind, so considerate, do your part. And of course, the loudest ones that didn't hardly do anything, try to act like. And I had to get them in order. People are weird. A lot of people don't play about their parents. I wish that there was an alarm system, doors locked, camera inside. When they removed that thing from the doorbell, I'm wondering if it was still recording. That's the one thing that the police isn't saying, which we get. And we're hoping that the DNA is going to compact. It's going to tell what's going on. It's going to tell the items that the purchase at the Walmart. Hopefully things are going to get narrowed down this week. There was people that were detained and then released, and we get it. What were the tips that you had to detain that person? Not a lot of press conferences. Some are saying he said this, and that's why we said this, and now he's trying to change that. So there's a lot of information. So be patient with YouTuber bloggers podcasts because there's a lot of information that's given. Some people are given more information than others. So prayers for Nancy and a safe return. I could not imagine. And it is being reported that Savannah Guthrie's family has hired um a what's the word? A person to assist. They have hired someone to assist them with all of it. So I'm sure there's a lot of information coming at them. Private investigator. They've hired a private investigator. I'm sure there's a lot of information coming to them, and they need somebody that can help make decisions with them, for them, speak on their behalf. Another case I had, this is what we did. Another case we had, this is what we did. This is what we did. This is how we handle things. So some people were like, well, why would you hire a private investigator if you got the sheriff and the FBI? Because sometimes family needs someone that's on their side on a day-to-day basis that can help them through all the conversations that's going on. If the family's exhausted, they need someone that's not exhausted to be the point of contact. So I don't blame the family for hiring a private investigator to get information, give access, and give ideas to maybe think of this or do that. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. So thanks for being here, everyone. I hope everyone has hit subscribe. There's 128 in the building. If all 128 hit subscribe, that'll be amazing. We cover a lot: hot topics, trending topics, celebrity news. We talk politics. We talk it all. Prayers go out to Jesse Jackson's family. We covered a lot today, so I hope many subscribe. My show goes extremely fast. Yeah, there's some goals that I should be meeting. There's some things I should be doing, but I like to get the information out to you guys. I really try really hard getting the information to you guys. So thanks for being here, everyone. Have a great day. Goodbye. Be blessed.